Good afternoon, Kevi.
Good afternoon, Prashant.
Welcome to our show on the other two-thirds. So, you've started this business, you've had a fantastic innings before this at Reliance Commercial Finance, fantastic business and fantastic team. But in Reliance Commercial Finance, what role people initiatives played in your significant growth that you drove in your stint?
I mean, let me generalize it by referring to the entire services industry, not just financial services or lending. I think it's ultimately a people business, right? So the difference between company A and company B in the same industry is, obviously the importance of capital and other kind of backing and brand, etc., play a very important role. But other things remaining the same. The difference between a very successful company and a not so successful company is essentially the quality and the commitment of the people. So better qualified the people are, more committed they are, better is your work culture, obviously the results are going to be much better. I think that's the basic importance of people in the entire thing. And when it comes down to lending, ultimately there are only two main components, right? One is of course the capital, the other one is the people. Now, assuming that the capital is not constrained or it's kind of equal in any measure, the difference between a good company and a bad company is primarily the quality and the commitment of the people. So therefore, people are at the central position of any successful company.
Absolutely fantastic. And not only that your business got an award as one of the best companies to work for, but we know that a lot of people were wanting to join your business within the group and from outside the group. What did you do so differently to create such a organization that everyone was wanting to work for?
I think there are two, three things which are important in creating a very sort of attractive environment, if I may use that term. One is the amount of empowerment and the freedom that you give to people. At the end of the day, especially in the financial services businesses, you are dealing with theory Y people, not theory X people, right? So most of them are self-driven, highly educated. So you need to give them the elbow room and the ability to for them to implement what they think is right. So that sort of freedom has to be given. That's number one. This is what something that leads them to create and innovate a lot more and thereby contribute a lot more to the organization's successes. Second factor is that the extent of communication that you really do with your team is very important. Through thick and thin, good times, bad times, you have to communicate as openly and as transparently as possible. Especially when the chips are down, the level of communication, the transparency of the communication has to go up. I still remember we had to do a lot of internal restructuring and business model reorientation and cost cutting and what have you during the 2008 global financial meltdown. And that was a time when we really went on an overdrive as far as our communication with the people was concerned. So wherever we had to implement a very difficult decision, say in terms of rationalizing the offices or the manpower or switching somebody from one product to the other, letting go of a lot of businesses that we felt were unremunerative, the extent of communication had to be very, very, very strong and transparent. The second factor was that even during that time, you may take difficult decisions, people might get hurt because of that, but if you are seen to be impartial and neutral, and if you say that you are able to communicate the central importance of the company's survival and company's doing well as your only goal, and you don't have any kind of nepotism or whatever in your mind, I think that itself inspires a lot of confidence in people who are with you. Now, all of that taken together improves your people orientation and their own attraction towards and their commitment towards your organization. So these are two primary things that enabled us to create a wonderful organization. And having said that, is it something that happens overnight? No, I think the entire journey from a fairly low grading as far as the Great Places to Work survey was concerned to a top 20 position took us nearly about 9 years of hard work. I still remember when we were doing a lot of changes in 2008, I think bulk of the people, more than 50% of them gave a response to the survey which said that they really didn't think that the management knew where it was going. So from that position, and the trust levels were as poor as 50%. So from there to grow all the way up to a trust factor of 85-86% and beyond took us a good 8 to 9 years of journey and hard work in terms of plugging all the loopholes and plugging all the areas where we could have done some amount of improvement and so on. So that it's not something which happens overnight, it builds up over a very, very long period of time.
That's absolutely fantastic. But all this led to only attracting great talent, or were you able to quantify the impact of these initiatives on your business?
I'll give you one simple data point. In 2008 March, when our book size was about 7,000 crores and profitability was very, very limited, I think it was virtually next to nothing, we had about 1,600 people. When I left in 2017 beginning, the same 1,600 people was the staff strength, 1,700 people, not very different. But we were managing a book size of 27,000 crores with more than 450 crores of profit before tax and a return on equity of almost 17%. Same number of people, almost 4 times the book and multiple times the profitability and a fantastic return to the shareholders. So all of that change could not have come across without a people orientation. The business was essentially very similar. Yes, we did make some amount of product choices, but the business was the same, right? It was still lending in 2008 and lending in 2017. But the difference was very clearly because of the involvement of people. The second factor is that if you have a people orientation as a core philosophy, the senior management team sticks together. And I've had a good fortune of having almost 450 out of those 1,600 people who completed beyond 6 years. And that strength, and most of them were senior management. None of my direct reports ever left the organization, and we were together for almost 9 or 10 years. So that builds in a certain stability of the business, that builds in the learnings of the past and makes you or takes you on a very, very strong growth path through whatever be the macroeconomic conditions be. So there is a huge amount of benefit that you get out of merely focusing upon the people as your core philosophy.
Now you're building Perfectus. This is a wonderful business. You started off with a commitment of $140 million from the private equity. In 18 months, you're part of, from 9,000 NBFCs, you're part of the club of 240 systematically important NBFCs as identified by RBI. How did you manage to achieve all of this in 18 months?
I think the formula is very similar and simple. Focus upon the basics. So in the first full year of operation, which was 2018-19, we had done only very limited amount of business. To give you a sense of the scale, the amount of business that we did in the entire 2018-19 was what we would have done in a week's time in Reliance. That's it. Okay. While the volumes were very limited, we kept it intentionally that way, but focused more upon laying the foundation stone of the business very strongly in terms of getting the processes, the people, the culture, etc. Laid out very clearly. First, we started with defining our vision, mission, and values, and then build the team around those value systems so that is what ultimately will carry us through in the longer run. So that is all we focused upon the first year, and scaling up once your foundation is very strong, it's much easier than trying to put the foundation stone after you've scaled up. That's all we did in the first 1 year. So hopefully going forward, we should be able to scale up very quickly compared to where we are today. And we may not have to be concerned about the strength of the foundation. That was the whole intention of building it up last week.
Very, very fantastic, because we've seen a lot of companies as consultants, the vision, mission, values perhaps comes in the end. After they've built the business, then they start looking for the soul. By the way, what's your vision, mission and values for Perfectus?
See, essentially we have very clearly focused upon the small and medium businesses as our focus area, and our vision is to be the partner in progress for small and medium businesses in India. And how we will achieve it, very clearly our whole mission statement says that we have to return outstanding value to the stakeholders, whether it be employees or shareholders or customers. And our guiding principles are 5 primary value systems, which we call as I-TRI: innovation, empathy, and so on and so forth. So we've defined that very clearly in our website, and it's been made public. Every single induction program that we do, anybody who walks into this organization with the intention of working here needs to imbibe that value system and the vision mission into it. We do not deviate from that focus at all. Say for instance, a customer may be a AAA customer, but if he does not fit into my definition of a small and medium businesses, he is not my customer. We will not sell any loans to that person, even though it may be a wonderfully attractive proposition from our perspective. So clearly staying focused upon your customer base, clearly staying focused upon your vision and values, really what builds your organization for that purpose.
Where do you see your business in 5 years from now?
We have laid out a 7-year plan. Why just a 5-year plan? Our intention is to get to the top 50 NBFCs in the country. Yes, top 50 NBFCs in the country is not a great position to be in. We'll still be very small in terms of size, but clearly we have defined our leadership more to be in terms of thought leadership, that when it comes down to financing small and medium businesses, we should be the number 1 choice from a thought leadership perspective. So anybody who's a small business and he wants to get some assistance from any NBFC or a bank should first consider Perfectus as his first choice. That's the position that we want to grow to. Rest of it in terms of numbers, etc., is incidental. We have defined that very clearly, but I think the thought leadership is something that we would definitely want to aim in the next 5 years.
Superb. I haven't heard this kind of a differentiator from anybody in the NBFC space. What are the key enablers? How will you make this unique difference of thought leadership happen?
When I said that our vision is to be a partner in progress to small and medium businesses. Now, what does partner in progress actually mean? It means several things. One is that you will be a partner. A partnership is something that is a kind of a lifelong kind of a thing. So you are not just doing a transaction of giving a loan to somebody. You are actually helping him and holding his hand through thick and thin. So that sort of customer orientation and involvement is very important. Second factor is that you can't be a partner to somebody and be having a long-term relationship with that person unless you have your own distribution, your own individual contact with that customer. So building your own distribution, approaching the customer directly is the second part of it. The third factor is that partnership means that you are going to handhold the customer whether it is good time or bad time. So even in terms of any customer going through a bad patch and he becomes an NPA or whatever it is, our collection strategy also would mean that we would be more benevolent in terms of collection. We would be more sitting together and trying to work out the things so that the customer can get out of the difficulties, rather than taking a very legalistic and a very aggressive kind of an approach. The fourth factor is that you are always having a certain amount of empathy as far as the customer is concerned, because unless and until you understand his position, where is he coming from, what are his difficulties, what are the good things that he is looking for, you will never be able to create a good product for him to be with you all the time. So which is what partner in progress actually means, that you have to have the customer's interest at the central piece in your entire business strategy. And that can't come unless and until your people are involved, unless the people really understand what our organization really stands for, and therefore L&D, people involvement, work culture, how you really, the importance of empathy as far as, imbibing that into the people's minds is concerned, all of that really plays a huge part.
There has been a discussion of driving employee engagement through culture versus driving engagement through purpose. Now, what's your plan? Is it going to be purpose-led or is it going to be culture-led?
Prashant, my view on this is that culture is something that builds over a longer period of time. So culture is not something that you can transplant from somewhere or you can say, hey, this is our culture on day one. That is something that evolves over a period of time. So the way we have gone about doing it is that we said the purpose or the focus of the organization, that is why the vision mission becomes very important, and how you are going to deliver and what are going to be your guiding principles, those have to be fixed first, and that's why the vision mission values become very critical. And as you keep on practicing these value systems and the focus upon the vision becomes a more natural kind of a thing, the culture effectively develops over a period of time. And then later on, maybe 5 years, 6 years down the line, anybody who comes in and joins the organization would kind of marry into that culture. But today the culture is still developing. So I have gone about in the way that we fix the purpose, we fix the focus first, and then the organization should move towards that focus. The culture is something that will be a byproduct of this whole thing. And then it becomes kind of self-sustaining in the longer run.
That's a wonderful thought. So start with purpose and sustain with culture. One last question. What would be your advice to the next generation leaders?
I think it's not very difficult to start a business or run a business or turn around a business, etc. I think the most important factor is that we must stick to the first principles. Usually what happens is we tend to get carried away by the larger sort of goal, etc., and miss the basics. So if we stick to the basics and always ensure that we are looking at the mirror at all the time to see what we can do better and not be too much full of one's own ego and get drunken on initial successes, I think that is something that will sustain any business over a period of time. Second factor is that innovation is not something the CEO does. Innovation is something that emerges from the field, and innovation is the only cutting edge for any business in an intensely competitive world. So you have to allow a two-way communication to happen with your team all the time. So ideas should be thrown up, they should be given a certain channel to find its ultimate goal, and that's how the organization kind of grows and develops all the time. So a self-learning, a continuous learning is something which is very important. In fact, one of the things that we know, the Upanishad says, Satyam Vada Dharmam Chara, but the last part of it is Swadhyayat Ma Pramadaha, which basically means Swa Adhyaya, that means self-learning is something that you must always practice, is what the Upanishad also says. So self-learning is not just for an individual, it is also very much relevant for an organization. So you can only do self-learning if you look at yourselves in the mirror all the time and keep on improving continuously. And that's the whole secret to my mind for any great business to be successful.
This is fantastic input, and there's a lot of learning for all of us and for the emerging leaders, young leaders. And thank you very much for your time, and thanks a lot. We wish you all the best for building Perfectus into white top 50, maybe top 10 NBFCs in this country. Thank you, KV.
Thank you so much.